To initiate the proceedings of the day, I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Anurag Batra, the chairman for the Business World. Of course, most of you again are familiar with Mr. Batra. He's got many a feather in his cap, including the exchange4media.com, Pitch, Impact, Franchise Plus, Realty Plus, Samachar for Media, Style Candy, Digital Market Asia, and of course, Business World. What I find extremely inspiring about this gentleman is despite everything, despite the Murphy's Law being in full force, he'll be somebody who will be extremely positive and say, no, we'll get things done. So a loud round of applause, please, for Mr. Batra.
Thank you, Suparna. It's my honor and privilege to welcome all of you to the inaugural Business World Higher Education Summit. As Suparna said, Business World is a platform to bring various stakeholders in the domain of building India and moving India forward. We are not just a magazine that's there for profit or being just an editorial product. So really, as Business World, we like to be a catalyst in not just articulating the issues through experts, but taking it forward through our editorial platform. And you know that media does influence minds. It does set an agenda, and we'd like to do that. We are speaking at a time when there is a new government and there is a policy rejig that's happening. Everything that exists is being looked at, and really, as has been said in the Prime Minister's 10-point agenda, education, water and energy are the three most important areas that he wants to focus. India has a more skilled workforce, which contributes to the growth of the country. So I just want to say that you are experts in higher education, but just to set a context, really by 2030, India will be amongst the youngest nations in the world with nearly 140 million people in the college-going age group, and 1 in 4 graduates in the world will be a product of the Indian higher education system. And I must say, over the last 2 decades, India has remarkably transformed its higher education landscape. It has created widespread access to low-cost and high-quality university education for students at all levels. And I would say it has happened because we followed a 3-tiered system where we've used technology much better. We have, in some way, I would not say fully, but we have reformed governance where the industry inputs and recommendations are used by government to create tools and institutions which really help in the higher education system. And we have transited to a learner-centered paradigm of education. I must also share that really going forward, if we have to really improve the higher education architecture, we have to improve the curricula and pedagogy. Faculty training and faculty upgradation and faculty reskilling needs to happen at much more deeper level than it happens today. Research in higher education institutes is very important, which is improved, but there is a long way to go. Partnerships. I think in terms of partnering within cross-functional areas, within various institutions, I think we have a long way to go. And infrastructure. I think, again, in infrastructure, we've improved, but again, we have a long way to go. So as we go along, these are the areas that experts today will talk about. And I also want to highlight the fact that while we may look at the shortcomings of the higher education system and the education system in general, but let me give you some positives. One is, as I shared, that India is among the top 5 countries globally in terms of research output. Our research capabilities are boosted by our annual R&D spends amounting to almost 140 billion. Also, India is the 4th cycle of research excellence framework with at least 100 of Indian universities competing with the global best. 23 Indian universities are among the global top 200, and 2 decades back there was none. So it's not that we've not progressed. We may have higher benchmarks, and all of us as parents, you know, I have 2 young kids. Education is extremely important. When I was young, my parents are academicians, now retired. Education was the most important thing. So our universities were not in the top 200. Today, 23 Indian universities are in the top 200. So it's not that bad. Also, in the last 20 years, 6 Indian intellectuals have been awarded the Nobel Prize in various categories. Again, you may say that's too little, but I'm saying it's not as bad as we make it out to be. Also, the country has augmented its GER to 50% while also reducing disparity in GER across states to 5 percentage points. You know, we can do better in terms of social inclusion from a financial aid standpoint. We have done that, and again, there are two viewpoints. Most eligible students get financial aid, but there is a large part that still doesn't get financial aid. So maybe 2/3 of all government spending towards higher education is spent on individuals, including faculty and students. Also, one of the phenomena that all of us are dealing with is MOOC, the open courses, open online courses, started by several elite research universities, now today collectively enroll 60% of the world's entire student population. So I just wanted to share these statistics because sometimes, especially in India, we look down at only things that we haven't done well. I think when experts like you gather, we must also celebrate some of the landmarks we achieved. And last, I just want to say that Indian higher education institutions are governed by the highest standards of ethics and accountability, with every single one of them being peer-reviewed and accredited. Again, the accreditation has kept pace with the times, but it may need more refreshing, if I may use the word. So really, these were the thoughts that I wanted to share to set an agenda. Like all of you, I keenly look forward to hearing all the experts and going back with ideas to implement. And we at Business World and our editorial colleagues will be there to take it up beyond this room in our magazine and our website. I must tell you, in the last 6 months, our net paid circulation and our subscriptions have gone up by more than 23%, and we have a large base. So in terms of print format, today, except Economic Times, which is larger than us in terms of circulation, in a print format, we are bigger than other pink papers. We are bigger than any website. And if we add our website numbers, which we will relaunch in 15th August, we aspire to be an ecosystem of changing India in a 360-degree manner through events like these, through our digital push, which is very big, and the magazine, which continues to grow. Because in India, people still like taking the magazine in their hand and reading it. So I just wanted to share these things as we go along. Thank you.